Most people assume birthdays are supposed to feel good. Cake, messages, attention, celebration. So when someone says they don't really like their birthday, it sounds strange, ungrateful even. But for many people, birthdays don't feel like celebration. They feel like pressure, exposure, or a quiet reminder of something they would rather not think about. And if you've ever felt the urge to ignore your birthday, turn off your phone, or pretend it is just another day, there is probably a psychological reason behind it. Because hating your birthday is rarely about the cake. It is about what the day represents. Birthdays are psychological mirrors. They force reflection whether you want it or not. Another year has passed, time moved, you changed, or maybe you didn't. And that confrontation with time can be deeply uncomfortable. For some people, a birthday feels like an evaluation. Where am I compared to where I thought I would be? What have I accomplished? What has not happened yet? When expectations and reality do not align, disappointment quietly attaches itself to the day. If someone imagined they would be married by 30, financially stable by 40, fulfilled by 50, and life does not match that internal timeline, the birthday becomes a reminder of perceived failure, not objectively but emotionally, and emotions do not negotiate with logic. Another reason people avoid their birthday is attention. For individuals who grew up minimizing themselves, being the center of attention can feel unsafe. If a child learned that standing out invited criticism, comparison, or pressure, celebration later in life can trigger discomfort. Being seen is not always experienced as positive. For some, it activates vulnerability. People who are emotionally self-contained often struggle with receiving. Compliments feel exaggerated. Praise feels undeserved. Gifts feel uncomfortable. So rather than endure that discomfort, they reduce the event entirely. It is easier to avoid celebration than to process visibility. There is also the social comparison effect. Birthdays are rarely private anymore. Social media transforms them into public events. You see who posted, who did not, how many messages you received, whether someone else's birthday looked bigger, louder, happier. What should be a personal milestone becomes a public performance. And comparison quietly erodes enjoyment. Instead of feeling appreciated, you begin calculating your social value. And there is something even deeper happening psychologically. A birthday is a reminder of mortality. Even if we do not consciously think about it, another year passing reinforces that time is finite. And humans cope with mortality awareness in different ways. Some respond with celebration, others respond with anxiety. If someone already feels uncertain about their direction in life, a birthday can intensify that uncertainty. It is not just a number increasing, it is the awareness that time is not unlimited. That awareness can create subtle dread. Another overlooked reason people dislike their birthday is unresolved childhood experience. For some, birthdays were inconsistent growing up, forgotten, overshadowed, chaotic, or emotionally complicated. If a child's birthday was associated with tension, family conflict, or disappointment, the emotional memory can attach itself to the date long into adulthood. The body remembers patterns even when the mind tries to move on. So when the date approaches, instead of excitement, the nervous system prepares for letdown. Then there is the expectation paradox. Society tells you that your birthday should be special, which means if it feels ordinary, you interpret that as something being wrong. If the day is quiet, you might think it means you are not important. If fewer people reach out than you expected, you might question whether people care less than you thought. The day becomes a test of your social value, and no one likes being tested. For highly independent people, birthdays can feel unnecessary. They do not seek validation externally. They measure themselves internally. So being celebrated can feel artificial or performative. They may think they did not accomplish anything significant that day, so why celebrate? But underneath that logic is often discomfort with receiving appreciation, because appreciation requires emotional openness, and emotional openness requires trust. There is also identity anxiety. Every birthday subtly asks whether you are becoming who you thought you would be. For people who feel stuck, lost, or misaligned with their path, that question can sting. It highlights the gap between current identity and desired identity. And the larger the gap feels, the heavier the birthday becomes. This is especially common during milestone ages. Turning 25, 30, 40, 50. Milestones carry invisible narratives about success, maturity, and stability. If someone feels behind those narratives, the birthday becomes symbolic evidence of falling short. Some people hate their birthday because it exposes loneliness. On a normal day, loneliness can hide in routine, work, responsibilities, distraction. But on a birthday, when attention is expected, the absence of attention feels amplified. Silence becomes louder. And even people surrounded by others can feel alone if the connection feels shallow. Birthdays do not create loneliness. They magnify what was already there. There is also the factor of control. People who prefer emotional predictability sometimes avoid birthdays because the day introduces unpredictability. Who will call? What will they say? Will there be expectations to go out or celebrate in a certain way? If someone values emotional control, unpredictable attention can feel destabilizing. So they remove the variable entirely. They ignore the day. But hating your birthday does not mean you are negative or ungrateful. It often means the day activates themes you have not fully processed. Time, expectations, visibility, loneliness, identity, mortality. A birthday is a psychological checkpoint disguised as a celebration. And checkpoints are uncomfortable if you are not sure where you are going. What is interesting is that many people who dislike their birthday are highly self-aware. They reflect deeply. They analyze their growth. They hold themselves to internal standards, which means the discomfort is not immaturity, it is confrontation. Here is the shift. A birthday does not have to be an evaluation. It can be an acknowledgement, not of achievement or status, but of endurance. You survived another year of uncertainty, of learning, of adaptation, of invisible battles no one else saw. That alone is measurable progress. If you struggle with your birthday, instead of asking whether you are where you should be, ask what this year taught you. Instead of measuring external milestones, measure internal development. Did you become more honest with yourself, more aware, more resilient, more clear about what you do not want? Growth is not always visible in accomplishments. Sometimes it is visible only in how you respond to difficulty. Sometimes the most powerful birthday celebration is private, a quiet inventory, an honest conversation with yourself, a decision to stop comparing your timeline to someone else's. Because birthdays do not measure success, they measure time, and time is neutral. The meaning you attach to it determines whether the day feels heavy or light. If this video resonated, it may not be because you hate your birthday. It may be because you have been quietly evaluating yourself every year without realizing it. And awareness changes that. On Rewired, we explore the hidden psychological patterns behind everyday emotions, behaviors, and identity shifts that most people never question. Because sometimes the things we want to ignore are simply parts of ourselves asking to be understood. I will see you in the next video.